a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but there is this introvert side of me.
How to navigate through all of this and how to make this huge change in your life.
What I've seen is that a lot of moms sacrifice their dreams because they feel like that's what they have to sacrifice.
People are so reserved at the networking event. Like, you come to networking events to meet new people, and they are afraid to come and say hi or extend a hand for a handshake.
I'm not going to put it out into the world if it's not perfect. So guess what happened? Nothing happened, right? And nothing happened with that journey. So with 3 kids and a very, very tight schedule, I often don't have as much time as I would like to get myself ready and to pep myself up. One other thing that I would do to really help you build your self-worth if you feel like you're struggling with that is to...
Welcome back to the Confidence Secrets Show, where we talk about presence, power, and what it really takes to show up as the boldest version of you. I'm your host, Kate Zeus, and today's guest is someone who truly knows what empowering women means. Welcome, Krystal Jugarap. She's a founder of BOOKofBIJOUX and Empowered by Women community. Also, she is a speaker and, most importantly, a proud mom of 3. So, Krystal, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. Tell us more about your journey, what drives you, what have you built, and what mission that fuels it all.
That is a loaded question, but Kate, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I feel like I haven't been on a podcast in a while, but I'm excited that this is what's bringing me back into the game. For this conversation, for the sake of this conversation, we'll kind of focus it on Empowered by Women, which is how we connected. But Empowered by Women really is this beautiful community of women entrepreneurs, whether they're product-based or service-based, but they're mostly here in the US, and it really is about supporting each other, genuine, true support of, oh my gosh, the most amazing women that are coming together and just wanting to see each other win. And we're all about supporting our women by helping bring them more brands visibility, whether that's getting them out in person in front of their ideal customer, getting them on stages, getting them into podcasts like this, maybe getting them into print publications, right? How are they getting visible? And then also accessibility is one of our big things as well, because I truly believe that you shouldn't need to feel like you have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on like coaches or support. There is just so much information and education and knowledge and people that are really willing to support you in your growth that's out there. So it's really streamlining the process of how do we get access to that? How do we give the women in our community access to that? And then lastly, my favorite is just creating space where we can foster those beautiful, beautiful connections. So we've had a lot of our women become each other's clients or collaborate on events and become really, really good friends, which has been so cool to see. So Empowered by Women truly started because of BOOKofBIJOUX. I launched a product line back in 2021. And going into business for myself, I just knew that I wanted this really beautiful network of women around me who were also just as ambitious, building businesses, and I didn't have that at the time. So it was going to be a very casual, like, place to come and be inspired. But I very, very quickly realized how many other women, like, this is what we need. And this is the exact community we're looking for. This is the energy that we need so that we can keep building our momentum. And it's just naturally progressed into what we have now, where we have this beautiful online directory with more than 100 women-owned brands. We're hosting networking events at almost a monthly basis now, where we've grown through the Bay Area, we've expanded into LA, we've expanded into Milwaukee, and we definitely have more states on the horizon where we're planning to just take over and really redefine what connection and community is all about.
Love that for you, yes. And I love seeing how community grows, not only in terms of people, but yes, in terms of geography as well. So I wish for you only the best and to see all the members on the biggest stages that we can only imagine. So before we dive into the main part, I prepared for you a quick fire round, this or that questions, just for fun, no pressure, whatever comes to your mind first. Ready?
I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
Okay. Coffee, tea, or matcha?
Coffee.
Morning routine or evening rituals?
Oh, I was going to say evening, but I wouldn't say I have rituals. I'm just more of a night owl. but it's not really a ritual. It's just like me getting things done at night.
So since you have your book of bijou, what would you choose? Statement jewelry or minimalist everyday pieces?
Okay. I love minimalist when it comes to like necklaces and rings, but I love a statement earring.
Now is a difficult one. A vacation with the kids or women's retreat escape?
It's a hard one. I feel like I just went on vacation with the kids, and so I would love to be able to go on a women's retreat, but then the mom guilt sets in, and I love taking them and being able to expose them to places. So I think I'm still gonna have to pick vacation with the kids.
So sweet. Okay, what would you choose or prefer for yourself? Have a TED Talk or Vogue cover?
A TED Talk.
Next one is also quite hard. 9 to 5 in corporate or 24/7 running your own business?
24/7, baby. That wasn't hard at all. I actually just left my 9 to 5.
Sundress or structured flower blazer?
I'm gonna go with the blazer.
Anna Wintour or Oprah?
Oprah's on my list. Oprah's on my list of future connections. So we're gonna go Oprah.
Wow. Okay. And the last one, be center of attention or power behind the scenes?
Power behind the scenes.
I think for you, I see you're like, in both.
I do too.
Actually. Yeah.
Like it. But power behind the scenes for sure, I think is really the direction we're leaning in.
Okay. Love that. Thanks a lot. I think we now know you a little bit better. Let's dive into our main part. So when you walk into a room, or of course you're a speaker, so maybe when you walk into a stage, how do you personally approach making a first strong impression?
For me, the way that I feel like I make a strong impression is because I'm usually the one that's approaching other people. And I feel like that's a strong impression, not because I come off strong, but because it's something that people don't do a lot of. It's not something that you really see when you go to different events, especially networking events, just events in general, people tend to kind of be very reserved or just hang out with the people that they came with. I'm very intentional about going to events and not having that like +1 because I know that already creates a wall for me. So if I'm going to an event, I know nobody. My whole goal for the event is to start building those connections. So my way of coming in strong is kind of surveying the room, figuring out like who I'm going to talk to first, then just walking straight up to them and introducing myself and starting to get curious and ask questions. And I feel like that does leave a pretty big impression on people.
Agree with you. People are so reserved at the networking events. Like you come to networking events to meet new people and they're afraid to come and say hi or extend a hand for a handshake. And when you do that, like other people are like, oh, finally someone did it. So they see you as a confident person, approachable, friendly, that you know what you're doing. And yeah, like, you take some weight from their shoulders. When you do public speaking, for example, do you pay attention to some body language aspects or self-presentation? It's about your posture, about your gestures. What do you see worked the best for you?
Absolutely. My posture for sure is something that I'm kind of just always mindful of. And the funny thing is, I feel like I've kind of always had good posture, quote unquote, good posture since I was a kid. And people kind of equate that with you being like stuck up or whatever, right? I've definitely, we all go through like growing up as teenagers and being in school, and people are very like judgy and like make their comments. And because of my posture, I would tend to pull some comments like that where I think I'm, full of myself. And I'm like, just because I like stand up straight doesn't mean I'm an a-hole of a person, right? But definitely whenever I'm speaking on stage, even sitting on a panel and there's multiple panelists alongside me, I think posture is huge. And then also just being mindful of the fact that you're on stage, even if you're sharing that stage with other people and you're not the one speaking. I think it's so important to still appear that you're engaged, you're paying attention to the speaker, and you're also mindful that there may be photographers and videographers and people that are getting content, right? So even if you're kind of on the side of the panel and you're not talking, like you got to still pay attention to the way that you're showing up in all of the people's photos and videos.
Agree, yes. It's also something that I always highlight. Actually, we discussed it yesterday. I had a workshop for the panelists of the upcoming event, and they're like, okay, it's one of the most important tips. So now they know and will keep in mind, because I showed them very funny picture of me and other speakers behind the stage when we were like just waiting for our turn. And like, look, photographers are always watching, so keep that in mind. So love that for you. Love that you have it subconsciously, right? That you are not thinking about it already when you are on a stage, because you know this is the way you are, and it became your just natural state. For a day of big events, for example, do you have any confidence rituals? For example, mindset shifts, or some even wardrobe choices, any routines that you do that help you to embody that confidence?
So with 3 kids and a very, very tight schedule, I often don't have as much time as I would like to get myself ready and to pep myself up. So I usually plan out my outfit in advance the night before, and I'm looking at my different options. If I have the time to actually try it on, I will do that, because you definitely want to feel comfortable, like physically feel comfortable on stage. Otherwise, your mind is going to be so distracted with like, oh my gosh, this is too tight. Like I have to keep adjusting my skirt or my shirt or whatever it is. I try to plan out my outfit in advance. And then from there, it really is kind of just having like, I am very big on like knowing in my head, like what the day looks like. I'm constantly asking my partner, like, what is your schedule? What are we doing? Like, when are we leaving? All of those things, so that I can pre-plan everything in my head and know exactly how much time I have to get ready. Again, with 3 kids, it doesn't usually pan out that way still, even though I try to do as much planning as possible. From there, I just try my best to get ready with the limited time that I have. And something that I feel like has been a mindset shift this past maybe year or so has me has been me getting really, really comfortable in showing up the way that I am. So if I don't have time to do makeup, am I okay with that? If I don't have time to do anything nice with my hair, am I okay with that? And I've gotten so comfortable in doing that and still showing up that way with confidence, because I've shifted my minds to not focus on all of these little external things, and the instead shifted towards the fact that I know that I have a message to share, and that is what my mission is, to share it. Not to show up all pretty and not to be like a makeup artist or a hairstylist, but to inspire the women around me that they have what it takes to show up too. And it's okay and more than encouraged for them to show up as they are. This is why I also like show up on my IG stories. Like sometimes I'm in my sweaty gym clothes. I actually got to shower before this podcast today, which was nice, but I don't always get to do that like before I have these kinds of virtual speaking engagements or when I'm showing up on social media. And I think especially in this day and age where there's so much inauthenticity around us, like it's so refreshing to just see other women showing up and like showing the reality of things, and also recognizing that there is strength in that doesn't mean that they don't take their work seriously, or that they don't know what they're talking about, or that they're not successful. It shows that they're truly committed to what their message is, that they're going to show up regardless. So that's something that has been so powerful for me. Like, even with this podcast, I was going to get my makeup done and all of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be really intentional and actually just show up without makeup, because it's not about that. Whether I have makeup or not will not impact my message. And I truly hope that anyone that's listening to this, you will allow all of those little things to stop preventing you from showing up.
Great, yeah, thanks for sharing that. And of course, I hope that that will inspire people to show up more, because sometimes we're like, oh, it's bad lighting, or I don't have the right outfit, I'm not ready yet. Just do it. Just start doing it. Just start showing up for yourself, and you will see those changes. So I also wanted to ask you about your routine, because again, you have your business, you have 3 kids, and you have a lot of events. What are no for you? For example, you don't take calls at, I don't know, let's say 6 a.m., for example, or you don't agree to have a speaking gig for a weekend. Again, for example, because just assuming because you have kids or something like that.
I love that question so much because I've definitely had to become more and more intentional with the boundaries that I'm setting. One of the things that I have done recently that I feel like was kind of a stark difference from when I started. Obviously, in starting to build our business, I really needed to build our visibility and really leverage other people's audiences and start going really hard in building connections. So my calendar was kind of just open, like fully open for calls. And then it got to a point where I was on calls like nonstop, multiple times a day. And I didn't have the time to actually do all the things after the fact, right? All the administrative work to do all the action items for the call because I was just jumping straight into another call. So I've gotten really, really good at making sure I have boundaries with my calendar. When can people book me? Am I going to keep making exceptions for people if they say, oh my gosh, you don't have availability until next month? Can you squeeze me in sooner? I've had so many of those requests, and I'm simply like, if something opens up, something will open up, but I'm not going to continue to accommodate those calls. And as much as I want to connect with other people, not everything can be a priority. So definitely being mindful of my time. And I have a very, very like limited time frame for when people can book me for calls now. And that's something that I stick with unless I know that there really is something that's high priority that I need to squeeze someone into. Another one is not having events back to back. So one day and then the next day, because I want to make sure, for one, I am carving out time to spend with my family, to spend with the kids, but also me physically and mentally, I need time to decompress because events, it takes a lot out of you. And a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but there is this introvert side of me where like I can't always be out there and talking. Like even though I might show up really, really confident to some people, there are still every single time I'm going to a networking event that's not mine, I'm constantly having to give myself a pep talk of like, this is what it's gonna look like, this is what you're gonna do. Like just like go in there and like don't feel awkward, even though I absolutely do feel awkward. So I need that day afterwards to just decompress and to also, if needed, like send the follow-up email if I said I was going to send that. Otherwise, I'm never going to get back to the people that I need to. I'm never going to nurture the connections that I wanted to nurture. So I'm very, very intentional about that.
Love that. Having boundaries, having your priorities, having your list of values will definitely help to prioritize your activities that you have. So you already mentioned some stories from your teens years about your posture and confidence. Maybe you can share more. Maybe there were times when you struggled with confidence. And what helped you to overcome that? What lessons did you have? So other women can also listen and learn.
I am a Virgo through and through. And as I've seen many of us women we tend to be perfectionists. So that was a big part of me in my younger years where everything had to be perfect or I wouldn't show up. I wouldn't do the thing. I wouldn't showcase the thing that I had been working on, whatever the case may be. And I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur ever since high school. I actually thought I was going to be a fashion designer. So I have a very creative background, and one day I bought like a plain t-shirt, I bought fabric paint, I cut out my own stencil, and I made this shirt for myself just for fun. And I wore it to school one day, and I got a lot of interest, and people were telling me like, oh, like I want one, sign me up, blah, blah, blah. Like I want to order one. And I had this actual list of people that wanted to order. They didn't actually pay me for it, but I just had this running list of people that said they wanted to order a shirt. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I go home that day, and that's when like the perfectionist starts coming, right? The overthinking starts coming, and I keep looking at it and I'm like, you know what? Like there's just like something that's not quite right about it. And I'm not going to put it out into the world if it's not perfect. So guess what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened, right? And nothing happened with that journey because I was the one that stood in my own way and said that I'm not going to do this because of this, right? Because it's not perfect, because I'm not good enough, whatever it is. I didn't have the confidence in my vision and in myself to figure it out as I go, to show up and be able to handle any kind of criticism that came my way. Like I wasn't emotionally ready for that. And I needed just the praise and not the critique. So I didn't do anything. And it really took a while. It really took up until the concept of Book of Bijou, where I said, you know what? I'm done playing small. I'm done just doing things the traditional way and doing what people expect of me. And I'm just going to go ahead and like say F it and just try living my life the way I've always wanted to live it. And it has been so refreshing and game changing to just allow myself to kind of play and to start giving myself more and more grace with the way that I'm showing up and recognizing that there is power in simply showing up and allowing yourself to learn as you go. There is so much power in that. And there's so many people that prevent them from even showing up. And then they're not giving themselves the opportunity to learn, to improve, to do better, to keep growing, to scale, to whatever it is that they want to do because they're so stuck in their own head. And I know that that's scary and that feels really uncomfortable. And it did for me too. And it still does to this day. But the great thing is, the more you do it, the more natural it starts to feel. The more the unfamiliar becomes the familiar. And what feels unsafe starts to feel like, okay, like I've done this before. I can do it again. This is actually not as bad as I thought it was.
Great lesson. So probably in the nearest future, we'll see Krystal as a fashion designer. Why
I would love
not?
that.
Now you are not working corporate job, you're not working your 9 to 5. You are spending more time developing your own stuff, business, spending time with your family. So maybe you can share with us top 3 tips for other women, probably who want also to change from office job to their own business, taking into account that they're moms, they need to take care of their family. It's one thing when you don't have a family, so you can like survive with less financial support in smaller apartment, for example. How to navigate through all of this and how to make this huge change in your life.
Absolutely. So this is one of my favorite topics because I have such an affinity for my fellow mom entrepreneurs out there because it is not easy. And there are a lot of people that I say, we have the same 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. We do not have the same 24 hours, okay? I left my day job and was like, wow, I'm going to have so much time to spend on building my business. But what I also realized was that now I'm the one dropping off all 3 kids, picking up all 3 kids, taking them to their appointments if Daniel's at work, whatever the case may be. My day is so short. And I want to make sure that I'm very present for my kids when they are home. So I get to choose what it is that I'm sacrificing, right? And unfortunately, what I've seen is that a lot of moms sacrifice their dreams because they feel like that's what they have to sacrifice. For me, I sacrifice sleep a lot, or I've sacrificed the TV and doing all the things that I would have done before if I had like plenty of time doing the kind of just like arts and crafts and hobbies and things that I would have done for myself if I was single without kids. So we get to really choose what that is. But one of my tips would definitely be if you are going to make the decision to take the leap and go into business for yourself, you really need to go on this mindset journey. I feel like entrepreneurship is just like this lifelong mindset journey where you are going to have to get really confident with yourself. Even if you don't feel it now, even if you don't know what that looks like, you're going to have such a profound belief in yourself and whatever it is that you're doing so that you have built this really strong foundation that whatever negative talk comes your way, whatever kind of storm comes your way, whatever things don't pan out the way that you hoped it would pan out, and all of those things will happen. Like it doesn't make you say like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, and then stop. right? You need to make that commitment to yourself that this is truly something that you want, because it's not an easy decision. It's not an easy journey. And that you're going to do whatever it takes to continue pushing, to continue being true to yourself and to your mission and your message, and that you will persevere through all of that. Saying that alone, for me, like making that choice and that commitment to myself at the very, very beginning already was so helpful, because in building Book of Bijou, I had like this nightmare of a manufacturing journey, and things were falling apart like so much sooner than I ever anticipated. But I had already mentally prepared myself for that, right? I already told myself at some point things are not going to go my way, and it'll probably be like really, really in the wrong direction. And I'm going to have to be okay with that and be committed to navigating around that. So I was already prepared for that. So that's my first tip. Get really clear on your mindset and the fact that this is going to be a full on roller coaster that you are going through, but you are going to be strong enough to push through it. The second thing, especially if you're a mom, is to have grace with yourself. That it's okay if you can't time block your calendar, right? It's okay if you can't post on social media every day. As long as you're showing up in whatever the way showing up looks like. Maybe it is posting on Instagram one day. Maybe it is doing one thing in the office one day, but you're continuing to show up and take all those little micro steps every single day towards your big vision. You can absolutely have it all, right? You can have the big, beautiful, thriving business and be a really kick-ass present mom. And just being present in all of that and giving yourself grace and recognizing it's okay to carve out a couple hours of your day to focus on the business, so that the next couple hours you can be 100% present with your kids. Like, do that. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're feeling yourself, so that you can also pour back into your kids. And for me, I look at my business as a form of self-love, because it truly does light me up. All of the relationships I'm building, the events that I'm going to, like, it excites me. And then I get to come back to my kids more present, more patient, more understanding, more enthusiastic about whatever it is that we're doing. And then the third tip that I would have is to have the hard conversations continuously, whether that's with your kids, with your partner, with yourself. For me and my partner, we definitely had this season of our life where it was kind of tough, right? Because I decided to become a business owner after we had already been dating for several years. So me deciding to go into business for myself was changing our dynamic quite a bit, because now there was all of this time I was trying to focus on that instead of him and instead of the kids and instead of family time and whatever it was. And he didn't understand what it was that what I was working on or working towards. Now we've gotten so good at just communicating with ourselves, right? With each other. And he understands what I'm working towards. Even with my kids, if I have to step away and go be at work, go be at an event, and they can't come to that one, I have those conversations with them so that they're also feeling like they're a part of it. They understand what I'm doing. And the cool thing is that they're getting really inspired by the work that I'm doing, right? Now they get to see, oh, like mommy is a business owner. Like there's not one way to do life. And we constantly tell our kids, dream big, be whatever you want. But how many times do we actually stand in that space and show them that they can do that, as opposed to just tell them? So having that constant communication, it's not easy. And again, just start small if you feel like you're not in that space, but it is going to be so integral to just being able to create the life that you truly want to live.
Great tips. And also, I think for kids, when they actually can come to your events, they are like super excited, super interested in everything that's going on around. And I think for them it's also like very interesting experience, so they can probably develop in themselves future public speakers as well. Why not? Okay, I cannot leave you without asking this. You mentioned that when you were talking about these 3 tips, tip number 1, it seems to me that it was a lot about self-awareness, because you mentioned that, okay, if you decided to go this path, go it, right? So don't second guess yourself, don't doubt, don't return to your ex whatever it is, boyfriend, girlfriend, job, employer, whatever. So how do you make sure that you stay on track? Do you have any practical tips for us about your self-awareness, self-acceptance? Maybe you do some journaling, maybe you do some meditations. How do you set goals and track this progress of your goals, that you are coming closer to your goals? Anything that we can apply today or this week so we can also see this change?
I feel like for me, you mentioned like rituals and routines earlier. I wouldn't say that I have either of those. I feel like I'm kind of a mixed bag in terms of the things that I apply to my own life and the way that I get mentally set for the day or get really hyped up about what I'm working on. Some days I'll go to the gym. Some days I will sit down for like half an hour and journal. Some days I'll sit in silence and just meditate or have a guided meditation or have a really great nighttime routine. And I think it's just me, like, I'm very hyper self aware and I know what I need in that moment. And for me, like, routines don't really work well. Like, I can't do the same thing every day because I get tired of it and then I'm not fully in it. And then I'm just like forcing myself to do it and it's not as effective. So, things like journaling, if you are not the type of person to already kind of naturally reflect on whatever your speaking engagement, right? That thing that you just launched. Like, we need to get really comfortable with having those moments to ourselves where we can self reflect and be really honest with ourselves about what we did well, what can we work on, what didn't go so great, and what can we do better next time so that we can prevent what we didn't like happening again, and how we can strengthen all of the good things, right? So I feel like that's something that's very natural to me to do. But if for anyone listening, if that's not something that you would just naturally think of, then carve out that time for yourself where you can be really intentional about it, where you do sit down and journal and do a little analysis of yourself, right? Of how you reacted and how you want to keep moving forward and how you want to show up as a business owner or as a leader or whatever it is that you're trying to position yourself as. I think journaling is really great for that. And then one other thing that I would do to really help you build your self worth, if you feel like you're struggling with that, is to surround yourself in community. And of course, community is something that I love so much because we're building this beautiful community. But it truly is, sometimes we do just need that external validation as much as like you want to build that confidence internally. Sometimes we just need another person to just be like, hey, like you're actually really great at this. Like you need to keep doing this. Like stop talking yourself out of it. Stop tearing yourself down. Stop creating these false narratives. Like I've done this and it was really successful. Why don't you go ahead and try that? We need that support so that we're not constantly in our heads about all the things that we could potentially be doing wrong, whatever it is, right? Everyone says that we're always our own biggest critics, but the way that you can combat that as you're continuing to build up your own self worth is to surround yourself with cheerleaders, right? So that the cheerleading is so loud that it overpowers all of the negative critiques that we have about ourselves in our heads.
And talking about your community, tell us where our viewers and listeners can find more about the community, where they can find you, your book, and of course, I will leave all those links below, so you will find them in the description.
Absolutely. So for our community, it is called Empowered by Women. Women is spelled WMN. So that's our Instagram handle. There's no punctuation or anything. And then it's the same thing for our website, Empowered by Women. If you're looking for this kind of community and support, just go onto our website and hit the Become a Member button, and then it'll give you all of the juicy details. For Book of Bijou, Bijou is spelled BIJOUX. It's French for jewelry. No, I'm not French. Same thing for our websites. And then if you are interested in getting connected with me as a speaker, you can head over to my social media page, my personal social media page. I am Krystal J.
Great. Thanks a lot. One more time, I will leave all those links below. Please come and connect and become a member of Empowered by Women community, where I'm also a member. Happy to be. So thanks a lot for joining us today, for staying with us for this very interesting and inspiring episode with Krystal. Krystal, thanks a lot for joining me, and I will see you in the next episode of Confidence Secrets.